You can also speak it if you would like.
Okay, I'll speak it if it's okay with you. Cognitive behavioral therapy is a clinically proven technique of healing all kinds of mental disorders, from depression, anxiety, panic attacks, to even psychosis. Now, what I was wondering about, because as I reflected on your work with energy, is first of all, why is cognitive therapy? Why is thought specifically? Because cognitive behavioral therapy focuses on thought. What is the relationship between thought and energy, first of all, from an energetic perspective? And secondly, when we do shadow work, how does it change our thought patterns when we do deep shadow work and work with ancestral patterns and change thought patterns? How is that related? Because that's not part of cognitive behavioral therapy, which I'm beginning to study.
Yes, great question. So let me just take notes here. Cognitive. And then the last part that you are asking about, the connection between what? So repeat that part again for me.
So the first part of the question was from an energetic perspective, how is thought? Because it's very effective. I mean, this is one of the few clinically proven techniques of psychotherapy that works. So I was wondering, why is it effective from an energetic perspective? What is the relationship between thought and energy from your perspective? Thoughts, why are thoughts so powerful? And secondly, when we do shadow work, when we do ancestral pattern and releasing of shadow work, how does that change our thought patterns? I'm really fascinated by this because as I'm studying this, there's nothing mentioned about any of your work, ancestral patterns and what we inherit. But from my own personal experience, I see that my thoughts are definitely affected by what I've inherited from my ancestors. I can almost connect it to things that I hear about my father's life and my great-grandfather's life and how it's affecting my thoughts in this life.
Yes, absolutely. Excellent question. Yeah, and actually, on June 10th, I'm going to be hosting a workshop that would actually really help answer a lot of these questions, actually. And the workshop is about exactly this, how we inherit programs and how in the DNA these memories are stored, expressed, accessed, rewritten, and how they influence essentially everything that we are. So if you are interested in learning about epigenetic psychotherapy and in looking at how the actual cellular healing of ancestral trauma takes, how and out of that, how it affects our DNA and how we are affected by the DNA itself, you guys are welcome to join that. It is June 10th. I'm going to just pop that up here on the screen for you to check it out.
Yes, I've already signed up for that. So that's great. Perfect. My questions will be answered there.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you for signing up for that. It is cellular healing of ancestral trauma and interdimensional blockages. Essentially, we are looking at how DNA is activated or deactivated based on our thought patterns, programs, emotional expressions. This is really, really important because essentially, as you may have seen in some of my other presentations, we are essentially a blueprint of information that is multidimensional. And whenever we come across repetitive patterns that cause suffering in our lives, we are awakening at these aspects of ourselves and anchoring these timelines which affect our manifestation and our ability to hold our space in our current life. They literally influence the kind of timelines that we tune into. So this is where we start understanding how we are so deeply interconnected to a network of consciousness, a self-organizing consciousness, that we only have free will when we begin to access the root core of ourselves as a creator rather than the repeater of programs. And when you are incarnated into the matrix, we are inheriting most of our belief systems. So this segues into answering your question, essentially. Think of personality being a product. And the way I look at personality actually is that it is actually a defense mechanism. Okay. And I know that might sound funny to some people, but personality is a defense mechanism in that essentially our personality is created and designed as a product of learning how to cope, how to navigate everyday experiences with family, with friends, in our environment as we grow up. from the womb until the age of 7, as you know, we are taking on all kinds of programs and belief systems. And these are the things that we adopt. We observe as a child to see which ones are the most successful. The most successful subconsciously are the ones that provide us the innate love, nourishment that we are all meant to have, that we are so familiar with as we experience a separation from source. When you are, in this, and for many people that do hypnotherapy with me, we revisit a lot of these death experiences. And when they leave the body, you return back to a whole. You come back to this source in which you feel unconditional love and connection to all. So this is what we are without the filters of the dimensions in which we're experiencing. And it isn't until we actually incarnate into the physical body that we begin to embody the filters of perception through the three-dimensional plane, which is the law of three, which is always looking at the experience of separation. Okay, that's what this physical life is about. And in the process of experiencing a multitude of experiences that help us understand separation, we create mechanisms in order to navigate. And this is where the ego, essentially the I that becomes identified with events, with experiences, begins to separate itself and create mechanisms in order to survive, to return back to the state of love, that wholeness. It has to create all kinds of scenarios. Okay, so that's what the personality is. And emotions, to answer your question, are the language of vibrational frequency of these experiences. Okay, so all the experiences that we have trigger emotions within us that essentially are the universe in the process of this vessel experiencing and expressing and processing vibrational data. That's all it is. If you were to see yourself as energy, as opposed to the physical body and the experiences that you're having, you would see yourself as an exchange of vibrational frequency. Your color would change. And this is what I see in my clients every day. Your color changes when your thoughts change, when your focus, when your attention shifts from one thing to another, your entire field illuminates and shifts and changes. When we are depressed, or when we are, fearful, we contract our energy. The entire body, your energetic body, contracts, and the way that your energy moves changes. When you are expansive, joyful, loving, coming into unity consciousness, you expand. The body literally expands. Okay, so these fluctuations of energy are essentially a vibrational frequency that each one of you has a signature of. And that signature is the blueprint of your emotional output. And even deeper, it is the blueprint of your DNA. Okay, so everything that you are, personalities, expressions, are a holographic expression of what is encoded in your DNA, because the DNA is the blueprint of programs. That's where we store base programs. And then there are layers to the unfoldment of that information, which is unfolding in your nervous system. It is processed through the nervous system. The emotional information is processed primarily through the nervous system of the body, because it's a vibrational frequency. The nerve systems are like antennas that process data. Okay, and there is a mental, right, physical, biochemical process that responds to these vibrational triggers. So I guess emotions, to clarify your question, because you asked me what is thought. Every single thought is a vibrational frequency, because it's made up of many layers of emotions. And we don't really know that. We don't realize that until we practice self-observation. When we take the time to really observe ourselves every moment, we begin to understand that our thoughts are made up not only of events that happened in that moment, but they're made up of memories, childhood memories, traumas, and we adopt programs from parents. All of those things construct a thought. And with observation, with practicing presence, you can understand what your thoughts are doing in your life, how they're affecting you. Because each one of the thoughts is also a neural pathway, okay? It's a neural pathway that we reinforce. Because it's a vibrational frequency, we are reinforcing every time that we repeat the loop of that response or that pattern or that emotional expression, we are continuing to repeat over and over again, reinforcing. That's why breaking habits, changing, things that cause you suffering are difficult. We are linked to these behaviors biochemically, because in addition to that neural pathway, you're also triggering chemicals in the body that we have become addicted to. Like we become sugars, we become addicted to adrenaline, we become addicted to dramas, to problems, to stress, and so the body needs that. And essentially, it creates events that will help trigger these kinds of chemicals in the body. So if without self-observation, we are very much at the mercy of these programs that really trigger a lot of processes in our body. Does that answer your question, Adam? I'm not, did I miss anything?
It does, and it's very beautiful because approaching it with compassion, just observing, the non-judgment, the 0 point that you speak about, which this is about, is essential for that observation. It is absolutely essential without judgment, and that's what I'm working with, is to try and feel everything in my body that I've inherited, that I culturally, all of that, without judgment. And that's the part that I'm glad that this is about 0 point, because I have to enter that every time I enter the state of observation. There's just so much that I feel judgment for. So thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I think this week, judgment with our emotions or things that we're observing about ourselves has really been coming up a lot for a lot of people. And it's one of the topics that I wanted to discuss today. We have a question from Tanja that says, it is difficult to find explanations about the higher chakras. Would you like to explain more about them? What are their functions? Yes, I would love to. I have an entire presentation for this, and please bear with me in this month. And I haven't said this to our viewers on YouTube yet, but this month I'm going to be hosting a challenge in June. And the challenge is all about higher laws. So the laws of the universe. We're going to talk about how to embody them. We're going to talk about the integration of the laws of the universe in our daily life and how they apply to us in our healing process, in our ascension process. So every single day for the next 30 days, we will have a video about that. And we're going to discuss the higher chakras. Actually, without understanding the higher chakras, we can't understand what we need to anchor from, okay? Because most of you that are here have been working on yourself for such a long time that you already have quite a strong awareness of how you're processing the lower chakras. And we're, it's never ending, the learning process, but we will discuss them. As a quick overview, in this dimensional plane, the 13 dimensional layers of the body are the ones that primarily affect our everyday life experiences, okay? So everything from the 7th down is essentially everything that inputs the hologram of your DNA that is creating the protein process. This is to make it simple, okay? Why? Because essentially everything that we are in this physical, your life experiences, the life choices that you make, illnesses that you have, pains in your body, repetitive programs that you're playing out, all of those are a product of ancestral programs that we play out. And when you wake up consciousness, you get to choose whether you want to continue applying those. And choose not to apply them, you begin to enter into an octave of your own expression. Okay, you enter the 0 point, you essentially enter the 0 point, but there's a process still to that even, okay? Because we need to learn how to enter the 0 point in all dimensional layers that we are accessing, because the laws of the universe pertain to the main 13 dimensional layers, but as we go higher, the laws of the universe become more expansive. They become so expansive that it's hard for the human to conceptualize. In this current, we're like infants that are learning how to love first, right? How to love ourselves, how to love others. But as you reach these higher dimensional layers, essentially, we are coming into a unity consciousness in which we have to kind of transcend the limiting programs of separation. That is the hardest challenge for the human, because the human has to be able to see and feel beyond themselves, has to be able to be compassionate enough beyond themselves. When we begin to train ourselves that, actually your life begins to change, and this is where you start to experience synchronicities. You come into alignment with nature, you come into alignment with the natural rhythms of the earth, and the body can come into a homeostasis. That should be home. We need to learn how to make this the new norm, okay? That new that state of being. All right, so let me go ahead and see if there's any other question. Okay, I'm going to start by answering the questions that we had last week that were really, really important. And the question was this. Let me bring it up for us. In the meantime, somebody is asking about sage, the process of how does burning sage incense affect space organism energetically, scientifically? So actually, it's not so much about burning incense, but rather sage. Sage is a very, remember that plants are organisms with their own architecture, geometric structure. Every single plant has a specific geometric structure that they express, and they have their own, how should I say it, archetypal kind of expressions that they have within them. What do I mean? Some plants are motherly, some plants are more masculine energy. So in the animal kingdom, in the plant fauna kingdom, also consciousness is self-organized within certain archetypal levels. And so when we connect with nature, we begin to see our reflection in nature in this manner. Animals, I mean, there are so many infinite amounts of animals that we have in this beautiful planet that we don't even know about. But when we learn about them, we learn about new complex ways of relating to ourselves and nature. So this is kind of like the same way that we're learning the organism of the earth and all of its parts, its animals and plants. We are learning our physical body, the way the body functions. We have so many incredible, intricate systems in our body that we are not aware of. But when we learn about them, we learn about the universe, okay? So sage has a very powerful cleansing effect that cleans the aura. It literally, the burning of the plant takes with it kind of like charcoal. When you drink something that isn't good for you and you have charcoal, it kind of sucks the poison out of the body. Sage does the same thing, but for our space, for our aural space. It accumulates dense energy and transmutes it into smoke, with the smoke. It is a very powerful, and I guess scientifically, they burned sage back when there used to be very, pests and illnesses that were spreading. It has been shown scientifically to, it has antibacterial side effects. Okay, that's the scientific aspect of it. But in the energetic realm, it's an incredibly powerful plant. When we burn it, we need to, and this is when we interact with any living being, organism, we need to connect with the plant, and we need to ask for its cooperation, because in a sense, it also has a level of consciousness and free will. So I always connect with the plant and I ask permission to use it and ask for it to be a tool for me, co-creating with me, and I utilize it to clean the body. Okay, I do have information on how to clean your home with it, but every single plant has a specific geometric structure that, because of that geometric structure, it traps specific kind of vibrational frequency, each different plant, each different element. When you burn Palo Santo, for example, that geometric structure takes away a different vibrational frequency from your space. Sage takes away another one. Sage is excellent for removing really, really heavy entities, attachments to the body, really sticky energy. If you go out into public, if you go to a place where people drink, for example, there's always covered with entities there, and many of you can have them attached to your body, okay? Or if you drink, you open yourself up. So you clean your energetic space with that, and it can be very powerful. You also clean your home with it, okay? So this is something that you can use. Incense, I really rarely use incense nowadays because it's so highly processed. And I'm actually allergic to a lot of the chemicals that they put into incense. I don't know how you guys experience it, but I think the more natural that you utilize the plant, the better for us, because they're using too many chemicals in incenses, like really bad chemicals are not good for you. So I don't tend to use that. All right, my love. So let's get started. The question that we had this week is the following. Hi, I've been reading a lot of past life regression books like Journey to Souls that talk about how the soul is reviewed by a council or healed in a chamber by other souls, or anything the soul has to do in soul life in that dimension. The book talks about. My question is, how does that area of existence fit into the human body and the ET avatar experience? So this is a question by Artun Singos. And essentially, I kind of talk and I cover this a little bit in my past couple of videos where I discuss purpose, because I'm talking about how our soul essentially is encoded in the DNA, and it's made up of many layers of information that we have access to. Essentially, our multidimensional bodies are made up of the layers of dimensions in which we exist. And what that means is that these dimensional layers provide certain filters for information. When we talk about our ancestral aspects of ourselves, remember that information is organized within archetypal, categories of information. But beyond that, let me bring up some visuals here. Every single dimensional layer has its own archetypal organization. And the best way that we can have a small idea, an idea into that, is by looking at archetypal divisions. And I guess the way to translate archetypal division would be just ranges of vibrational frequency. Mark Sanchez, thank you so much for that super chat. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate that. Okay, so here we are. So think of how infinite consciousness can manifest into the physical body is that it self-organizes itself in a way that can be easily accessible, okay? So, because remember that you are source, infinite potential. How do you fit infinite potential into this human experience? Our human experiences are actually very small in that they're very specific. They are designed by the inherited belief systems that run down the ancestral lineage. And when you unpack them, they're actually very simple. It's always the same kind of programs. The idea that we're here to learn is how to return to how to become the all, how to return to love. How do we embody unconditional love by melting the filters of separation that do not allow us to love unconditionally? That is what source, what infinite potential is. So for us, we have all kinds of conditioning that we take on since the womb until now. And all these conditionings and thoughts and programs that we take on create this personality that is heavily influenced by these beliefs. And depending on what your upbringing was, depending on what you're here to learn in this current timeline, you will align with some kind of archetypal influences throughout your life. Here's an example of these archetypes that are widely utilized, the most well-known archetypes that most people experience. Now, as I mentioned before, I think that we actually embody all of these layers of archetypes, at least at once in our life. But I want you to look at these archetypes instead of what they are as their name and their definition, but as a vibrational frequency. Each one of these emotional houses is essentially a vibrational frequency, and they are parallel to creator states. This is the most important part. The archetype that we most associate with, I'm going to change the slide here, is the one that rules our ability to manifest and co-create in the three-dimensional plane. Okay, so in the same way we have those little micro archetypes, like I showed you just a second ago, we also contain creator states. And within these creator states are organized lower archetypal aspects. So for example, when you're playing out the house of power, you're going to be embodying, it could be the warrior, it could be any one of these archetypes, the ruler, the king, the queen, right? So these are the kind of archetypes. They all have these subcategories of subconscious belief systems, programs that we play out. What happens is that these archetypal houses that we most hold in our energetic space, they are a combination of your ancestral data, but they're also a combination of the lives that you're embodying simultaneously in this current moment. So what we think of as past lives, future lives, are heightened, are activated by the choices that we make in this lifetime. Okay, so if you had as a child have extremely traumatic experiences, and it's caused you to create a narcissistic personality, you begin to embody this narcissistic, this grandiose personality, and you begin to align with an archetypal aspect of yourself that is, let's say, the queen, okay, or the king. And essentially, you play out the main power roles of those archetypes as your ability to create. The only level that you can reach is any of these levels here. You're either fluctuating from survival, possessive, competitive, and ambitious, okay? Until you break that pattern, you can't really reach up to any of these higher levels of creation. The connection between this interdimensionally is that in these lives, you awaken parts of you that were, let's say, King Arthur, okay? So you go through a phase where you begin to identify. You can even identify with the historical character. You can even begin to channel their information. This is why I want you to pay attention to what you channel. What do you connect with? Because in these moments of connecting with this pure form information that comes through you is a key as to your vibrational resonance and what you are in alignment with universally. Remember, time doesn't exist. So we begin in hypnotherapy, in my sessions, people will access lives of themselves, let's say as King Arthur, and they will discover lessons that they learn. And those lessons function like, basically they are like metaphors for exactly what they're experiencing in this current timeline, just in different ways. But you have to understand how to observe them, because we get fascinated with the fantasy of what we're experiencing. But why those experiences exist is so that we can get pure information about where we're at in our healing process. So why I'm talking about this is because in the same way that that functions on the higher level, remember that we have our ancestors that are not only just our human DNA, but also interdimensional ancestral lineages. Okay, here's a picture of a little Arcturian being that is in the lineage of this person here. And so what's happening in this current timeline right now, because the veils are thinning, is that we're becoming aware of our interdimensional archetypal aspects of ourselves. And in the same way that we have human archetypes here, we also have interdimensional types, so they could look like ET beings. I don't know if I have that slide here, but we essentially have ET beings, all the different kinds of ETs that we come encounter with hold a specific vibrational frequency. Okay, and this is very important because this is how we learn discernment and how we learn the laws, the higher laws of higher dimensional layers. You asked, what do we do in these dimensional layers? From the 7th down, we are managing the physical plane. From the 7th up to the 13th, we are reading the holographic DNA. From 9 to 10 is the DNA of the earth. This is where we manage ancestral data. All of the ancestral memories, ancestral programs, we are accessing those. When we go from 10th to 13th, we are accessing these guys, these higher dimensionals, angelic beings. Okay, these archetypes of beings, either high or low, reptilian aspects, Arcturian aspects of yourself. Now you come in contact with those. You are reading your holographic DNA. That's what these dimensional layers are all about. And the higher you go, the more unity consciousness you encounter of yourself. That's why I ask you every single day to activate your chakras to the 24th dimensional plane so that you begin to familiarize yourself, anchor yourself, activate the DNA that is associated with these vibrational frequencies. Okay, and it shifts your perception. Okay, this is a way to gently, in a sense, move from the survival state. Okay, so let's come back to this because, okay, one more thing I want to mention. The way these archetypal interdimensional aspects are organized is through something called councils. Okay, councils, and at least every single human will encounter some council at some point in their life. They will. This is part of the experience as we know it in this current timeline. Why? Because councils are like looking at your DNA holographically, looking at your multidimensional DNA. That's what councils are. You're going to see the councils are made up of different species. It's a round table of genetic data that influences your higher aspects of yourself. Okay, so if in a council you have a reptilian, you have an Arcturian, you have a gray, you have a mantid, all of those are DNA that you hold in your genetic data. And this specific council is a part of you that it's carrying out some kind of experience in the universe. Some people want to say it's an agenda. They have an agenda with you. But when you look at it from the higher level, this is like grandma, grandpa over here. It's the same function. They carried out their lives. They made choices in their life experiences in order to create these ancestral lineages of data. And these councils are the same. They are in charge of genetic data, interdimensional DNA. That's what they manage, and all the information. So healing abilities, whether you pull forward humanity, whether you regress somehow, whether you reincarnate back into the reincarnation cycle, is influenced by these kinds of councils, and that is encoded in your genetic data. Okay, so yeah, so this is the question. How does it relate to our creator state? Because as you begin to integrate and access the 0 point, every time you encounter a being, an entity, an angelic being, an ET in yourself, you begin to access unity consciousness, because you no longer, you have dissolved the filter of separation from yourself, not only from this terrestrial plane, but also interdimensionally. That is the ultimate solidification, crystallization process, the alchemization process of your DNA and your vibrational frequency. So this is where you start getting into higher levels of pure knowing, pure consciousness. Okay. Yeah, so I hope that answered that question. It's a very, very great question. Venusian says, how can I identify what my interdimensional self is? I've meditated and seen wings, but I don't resonate with that. Once I heard my higher self tell me to think the council, but that's all I got. Okay, so here's the question I have for Venusian, my beloved Venusian, is essentially, why didn't we resonate? That's the question that I have. And in this question is many layers, because who wants to create separation between yourself and something is usually the ego first. Okay, not always, first. But so we have to question baby steps at the beginning. The root process is to identify who is making that assessment. Is it the fear part of us, or the part of us that is in unconditional love? And the reason why I ask that is because if you saw it in your body, if you saw the wings, or if you saw a being with wings, you have a subconscious belief system program that is encoded in your DNA that is being expressed to you in that moment. Everything is important. We don't have to become identified with anything, but everything is important because it's you. So we have to learn how to take what we are experiencing and being shown and receive the information that is necessary from that. Okay. Now, in my process, I also discovered my angelic self. Now, all humans have angelic archetypal frequency within them. Why? Because we are fractals of the universe. And the way that this universe unfolded is through the process of all of these beings, okay? So Sophia breathing life into the Aldebaran breathing life into the beings, into the archons, and from there developing all of these genetic mutations into the world, into the physical realm, of which is self-organized this infinite consciousness. Each one of these organisms, these species, is a fractal of something. And so an angelic archetype is essentially a part of us that we experience. And we have to deconstruct the filters and the layers that keep us in these archetypal ways of looking at angels. Okay. The important thing to understand from the angelic experience is to know what is the vibrational frequency, the lesson that is being exchanged. That's essentially what is the takeaway. And keep moving. Okay, so don't become identified. You see the angelic part of you, understand what was your lesson as this angelic being? Why is that coming up now? And essentially, what do we need to apply from this angelic information into our current timeline right now? That's what we want to know. And then we keep exploring, okay? So you are all, to answer your question simply. Now, what is 0 point? 0 point essentially is a biophysical, energetic state of being of the body in which we enter into a self-regulating system of the body. And I want to share this with you here. The 0 point is essentially when the physical body begins to activate the movement, allows the movement of the body. When we start to clear out the blockages in the physical body, we come into harmonic resonance. Okay? Disorder, disease, stagnant limiting belief systems, all of that causes stagnation, blocks the flow of life force that you are. The 0 point is the one that is transmuting those limiting belief systems and returning back to the natural alignment of life force flow through your body. You're no longer in resistance, you're no longer suffering, you're no longer in the illusion of separation. Those key elements allow you to come into harmony. That harmonic resonance is the eye of the storm, as they call it, in which is completely still. It is null, it is zero, the 0 point. And in the 0 point, essentially, is where we access all access points of this multidimensional hologram in order to master it. Okay. When you enter the 0 point, you actually have access to all access points of your creation. And you can then manifest. You can affect matter, you can affect people, you can change and influence the experiences that you're having. Without entering 0 point, you are out of balance. You cannot affect anything other than repeating what you are most cycling through. That's really important to understand. So this is why we want to try to come into 0 point. We want to train ourselves, clear the body so that we can begin to enter into this point of creation, because only here is where you have, any kind of free will. And I guess the best way to explain that is through the body, through the Merkaba, right? We essentially are activating the Merkaba of the body that allows us to travel in many dimensional layers. Okay. As a very super sensitive empath, it's been really difficult this past month. How can I make the process easier without isolating myself even more? Okay, so this is a very important question that has been coming up a lot for people this month. We are becoming more sensitive in that this is part of the cycles of awakening. We went through a very deep energy over the past 3 years, and we are now emerging from a very thick energy that made it a density that made it difficult to connect with source for some people. Okay. And in addition to that, we had solar flares that heightened the magnetic field, and it played a huge role in the way that we held our energetic space. In a way, the density was so heavy in this universe that it made it difficult for us to hold our energetic space in a very powerful way. That's why it was so important to be in nature. Now we are kind of moving out of that gently, and we're going to be catapulting into another runway of energy now coming into the next 2 years that are going to catapult even higher states of awareness. What this means for the empath is that the empath will now completely be at a heightened sensitivity point, but it's not just sensitivity, because empaths have been sensitive for a long time. Now it's a level of awareness. Because we're awake, we now are highly sensitive and in tune to the things that we're tuning into and feeling. The veils between us, between each other, have become so thin that we feel each other more than ever. Okay? Literally, we can connect with one another, feel and sense and intuit each other. And for this reason, we need to learn how to work with our multidimensional bodies. It's incredibly important that you understand how to do GPAC, which is to be completely grounded, connecting down to the center of the earth. So right now, I want everybody to ground down to the center of the earth. Go ahead and visualize the center core of the planet and create your energy. I want you to anchor yourself, almost as if you're taking yourself down there to the center of the earth. Come fully in your body. The reason why sensitivity feels unbearable is because most of the time we're not in the body, we're up here somewhere, okay? And being outside of the body actually makes us more vulnerable in an imbalanced manner. There are different ways of being vulnerable. There's an empowered vulnerability, which full awareness and authenticity. And there's a vulnerability that actually can cause you imbalance. And that's when you give away your life force. So absolute awareness of your energetic field, becoming aware of where your attention is at all times. Where is your intention? We are conditioned to live in survival mode, which brings our attention to what's happening outside, because we have been programmed that we believe that if we pay attention to what's outside, we're going to survive, we're going to be safe. But actually, it's the opposite. Everything is inverted in this universe. We have to understand that. When we pay attention to the inside, actually, that's when you can know. That's when you can really know what, how to hold your energy. And actually, the truth of this external world becomes very vivid when you begin to dissolve the filters within you. This is kind of the practice of self-awareness. The reason why things also become very sensitive for us is because the mirror that humans cause one another to be triggered. So as soon as you become triggered, you feel something, you're feeling it because it's in resonance with you. So what are you in resonance? If you're going to feel something as an intuitive, there's a responsibility to intuitive abilities. You have to know what to do with the information. If you don't know what to do with that information, all you're doing is the ego is just feeling and wasting energy. The idea of the true mastery of the physical body is to begin to hold yourself regardless what is happening external to you. So as you begin to feel some energy, somebody's emotion, someone's attitude, someone's activities, whatever's happening, to assess if your attention, first of all, what is being triggered? So identify the emotion, okay? If I identify what is the emotion that's coming up for you, identify what you need in order to come into your full authenticity. What is being resisted in that moment? The reason why something feels so strong is because we resist what we're experiencing. There's a very powerful message there for us. So in that process of identifying the resistance, you can actually neutralize your judgment on what you're observing. Okay. And that's the formula essentially to come into this state of awareness, is that you identify what's in resonance, what's triggering, and to identify who is resisting and why. And the last step is to nurture the one that is being that's resisting. Okay, so within you there will be a part of you that is triggered. What does that part of you need in order to feel whatever it needs is? You will know the need by understanding the emotion. Does it need security, safety, protection, acknowledgement? What is it? What does it need? You're going to provide that need for yourself. And when you do that, it neutralizes the resonance to what you're feeling. This is the real shadow work of everyday life that actually begins to change the way that you live, because now you are no longer in resonance with this thing that triggered you. And that ability to shift that resonance is how you choose timelines and how you become free from your own limiting belief systems, essentially. Okay. All right. Will empaths play a bigger role going forward? Empaths know how to their energetic space. Okay, we are all empaths. Everyone is an empath at some level. Okay, at some level, but it doesn't really matter, because the person needs to understand how to hold their energetic space. This is very important. When you have thoughts, someone asked earlier about the thoughts. What's the power of thoughts? Every single thought is a vibrational frequency that influences what we are experiencing. So if we have monkey mind, having running thoughts constantly in the back of our mind without awareness, we're like puppets, and we are basically being lived through our surroundings. You have no awareness, you have no power over yourself or control over your own observations. When you begin to have observation over yourself, mastery over your thoughts, now you can begin to see who is the one that is surviving, who is living, who is experiencing, and why. And that's when actually the experience begins to change. So we want to learn how to have a very close connection with yourself, close communication. The biggest key is to come into a profound connection with yourself so that you can come into authenticity. Who are you? Why do you feel the way that you do? Why do you react the way that you do? This is actually the most important part. Okay. All right, so let's go into our meditation and I will come back to questions at the end, okay? So today I want to go into exactly this topic actually about holding energetic space and authenticity, because we want to understand how do we own our space and what is our space made out of? So I want you to tune into your body right now at this moment and begin to become aware of the emotions that are in the body right now, okay? The emotions that you're feeling the most in this moment are the programs that are running in your back end, and they are what create the resonance of your life. They are dictating the kind of events that you're going to be experiencing today, tomorrow, and in your dream time when you go to sleep. You're going to be in resonance with beings, dreams, experiences that will trigger these same emotions. So let's go into the meditation and I will guide you through that process so we can begin to understand it. All right. Go ahead and inhale deeply. Breathing. With every breath you take, allowing yourself to come into a state of complete relaxation, complete calm. As you allow yourself to come fully into your body, I want you to come into absolute stillness. Go ahead and anchor yourself down to the center of the earth. We'll start by closing your first chakra. You're going to shrink that chakra down to the size of a dime. Remember that the chakras are spheres around the body. So we're going to begin to gently shrink that chakra down to the size of a dime, disconnecting any imbalance of the root chakra. Breathing. We're going to go up into the sacral chakra now. Sacral chakra is located 4 fingers under your belly button. Go ahead and visualize shrinking that chakra down to the size of a dime. Breathing deeply. Just seeing the body coming into a state of calm. Going up into the solar plexus now. Go ahead and visualize shrinking that chakra down to the size of a dime. Disconnecting any imbalances in the solar plexus. Breathing. You're going to go up into now the heart chakra. I want you to expand that heart chakra as wide as possible, opening the center of unconditional love, of coherence. Go up into the throat chakra. Go ahead and visualize expanding that throat chakra, opening the center of communication and expression, the balance, the feminine and masculine within it. I'm going to go up into your third eye. Go ahead and visualize expanding that third eye, opening the center for intuition. We're going to go activate the higher bodies now. Go into your seventh. I want you to notice the color that is here in your seventh and your eighth chakra. Go ahead and see that now. I want you to see that color. You're going to expand that color. Breathing deeply. Go ahead and visualize a sphere around your body. This is incredibly important for those of you that are sensitive and empathic. Go ahead and visualize that sphere around your body. Without any openings. So in other words, notice where it feels difficult to imagine that sphere around your body, and go ahead and allow yourself to seal your field completely around you. You're basically looking at your own energetic body, but to make it easy, I want you to visualize a sphere around you. Your sphere is going to demonstrate to you how your energy is being held in your body. Okay, so if the back of your sphere feels really difficult to imagine in your meditation, visualize, imagine, think of it, go there, feel that. That's an indication that that part of you is opened. It's an uncultivated area of energy. It's a suppressed area of energy in your own body. So essentially, you're going to expand your sphere into that area, making it really nice and solid so that you can see your entire body. We want to be able to see absolutely everything, be aware of everything in our space. Breathe. Very good. Good job. Above you, below you. Excellent. It's going to feel almost as if the air is closer to your body. I want to invite you to do this every single day, everywhere you go. And even in dream time, you will begin to create the sphere around your body so that you can become aware of what you can control and what you do not control external to you. Okay. So as you create this as part of GPAC, we're going to go deeper. I want you to pull from the center of the earth a powerful wave of green energy that comes rushing up into your body. This green life force is the color of earth. Earth has chosen a green frequency for its life force. Allow yourself to bring that green life force into your body as it begins to rotate around you. Gently allowing yourself to bring it in your space. Beautiful work. Okay, from source, I want you to pull down a powerful wave of golden light that comes down through the crown of your head, combining with the earth energy. Go ahead and activate this Merkaba within your body as you begin to activate the lower vortex and the higher vortex of your body. Feel that spin around you. One of the most powerful cleansing techniques to clean our multidimensional body, guys. Excellent work. Go ahead and take 10% of that, send it back down to the center of the earth. You're going to take 80% of that, send it up your spine from the crown of your head, coating the outside of your sphere. I want you to call back your life force from this week, anywhere where we depleted energy. And for those of you that travel astral planes, I want you to call back your life force, people, places, and things that we unconsciously depleted our energy. You're going to call it back into your body. It's going to come back as pure gold life force into the body. Regenerating, rejuvenating. I want you to begin to tune into yourself now as you're running energy through the body. You're going to take that final 10% of this pure earth and cosmic energy, and I want you to absorb it into your body now, into the pores, into the flesh, the muscles, the bones, down to the cellular level of your body, transforming any darkness into pure white light. Allow your body to heal, to regenerate. Love come into a powerful appreciation and love for the body. Compassion. I want you to begin to observe yourself over the past week now. And I want you to see yourself over the past week. How has your relationship been with authenticity in the past 7 days? Go ahead and take a look at that. I want you to see yourself interacting with family, friends, your children, your loved ones, colleagues. And as you watch yourself, I want you to notice any moments that you come out of authenticity. I want you to notice what happens to your body when you become less authentic. You contract yourself? Do you perform? Are you in survival mode? Do you mold yourself and wear masks around certain people in order to be loved, accepted, approved of? Just notice the emotions that come up as you observe this. Breathing. Begin to notice if you see any patterns. I want you to take yourself back to the past month now as you begin to observe any time that you fell out of authenticity. See yourself. Some of the survival mechanisms that come up for you. How do you hold your energetic space in those moments of inauthenticity? I want you to notice over the past week, over the past month, any patterns that you have noticed come up. And I want you to notice that as you review these, what are the emotions that come up most for you in your body? I want you to notice the emotion. Take yourself to that part of the body that tenses up the most when you feel that emotion. And I want you to be absolutely present with this emotion. Okay. I know it's going to feel uncomfortable, but as you are present with this emotion, notice what is inside of this emotion, what layers of sub-emotions begin to come up, and name them out. Go ahead and notice the emotion that now most comes up in this new list of emotion. And I want you to be absolutely present with that emotion. You're going to select one of them that is the strongest for you. As you are absolutely present with this emotion, notice the part of your body that begins to get triggered or tightens, contracts. You can scan your whole body to observe how these emotions shift around the body. So now this second emotion, I want you to be absolutely present once again. And I want you to recognize this emotion. How familiar are you with this emotion? Go ahead and allow yourself, take yourself back to the very first time in your life that you felt this emotion. As you see yourself in these scenarios, you might be old, you might be young, older, or you might be younger. I want you to see yourself here in these scenarios and notice how you're feeling in that moment in a scenario. What is triggering this emotion within you? And when you ask the question, don't get tied up on any victim role or any kind of accusatory or judgmental perception. I want you to bring it down to the very raw core emotions that are being triggered as a result of these scenarios and exchanges. This will help you narrow down your attention on what you need. Okay, so as you begin to identify that emotion, the triggers, I want you to ask this part of you, this younger part of you, what do they need in order to no longer feel this way in this moment? Take a look at that and see what comes up. What do you need from the person, place, or thing that is triggering the emotion within you? We're going to start there. So for many of you, in these experiences, betrayal will be something that comes up a lot. Authenticity, truth. Just observe without judgment. Notice how you react to every new piece of information that comes up. Now, what do you need from yourself in order to no longer feel this emotion? What would be the opposite of this emotion? For some of you, this will be very foreign. Some of you won't know the vocabulary because you've never experienced it. Some of you will be confused. Okay, I want you to take your time, be patient and compassionate with you, and try to get to the root of your need. Well, as you slowly begin to identify your needs and how to meet them, how to understand the opposite of this emotion, I want you to select a color that represents this new healing emotion. I want you to see yourself as a child or as this younger part of you. And I want you to recognize all of the memories in which you've experienced this same emotion throughout your life. These are fractals of yourself that were created by these same triggers. So I want you to collect all of them. Okay. I'm going to collect all of them in front of you, all of these parts of you. I want you to visualize a color that represents this opposite healing, this new nourishing need. And I want you to allow these parts of you to begin to absorb this healing energy into them as you breathe deeply. Breathe. Allow these parts of you to begin to reconnect with themselves. That's what they're doing. Reconnecting with their source. Reconnecting with their truth. Learning how to feel safe in their raw, authentic needs, desires, understandings of themselves. Breathe. With every breath you take, as you allow yourself to begin to see these parts of you healing, I want you to see them merging into one self. I want you to notice the program that was inherited in order to create this belief system. Okay. And I want you to notice how it was passed down through the generations. Okay, mother, father, how did they play that out? How has it been passed down through the generations in our society? How often does humanity believe this perception that is limiting, that causes suffering and pain? Allow yourself to observe how expansive this program has become. Breathing deeply. Beginning to see all the fractals of ourselves, our ancestors before us now. We're going to allow them to begin to also heal from this program. So notice, what do they need in order to no longer feel suffering? Breathing. As we begin to heal our ancestors now, filling them with this new wisdom. Allowing them to integrate now fully. You're going to see all the fractals of yourself in front of you merging into one self. What's different with yourself now? Take a look at yourself. What has changed? I want you to notice a more expansive state. Notice how they feel more safe, more secure, more grounded, more connected, more sure. I want you to inhale deeply, taking this part of you into your body now, breathing deeply. Okay. Healing your body. Right now, you are repairing an entire tear in your energetic field. Disorder in your field, you brought back to order. So I want you to notice the effects of that are going to be physical, mental, emotional, and chemical in your body, because now the trigger will have changed. Okay. So as you allow yourself to see all these parts of you beginning to integrate deeply in your body, I want you to focus on the root chakra. You're going to open that root chakra back into a balanced state, spinning it as fast as possible. I want you to visualize expanding that root chakra back into its full expression. Bring it into a state of complete healing, complete whole. Clearing out that root chakra from any limiting belief systems. Clear 360 degrees around you. Breathing deeply. Going into the sacral chakra, same thing. We're going to open that sacral chakra back into a balanced state, clearing out the sacral chakra. Let go of all those limiting belief systems that were there in the body. Beautiful. Go up into the solar plexus, open that solar plexus back into a balanced state, releasing all of the blockages in the solar plexus, blocking. Excellent work. You're going to go up into the heart chakra now. Go ahead and expand that heart chakra as wide as possible, opening the center of unconditional love and coherence. Clear out all of the blockages, limiting beliefs in the heart center that are blocking you from receiving love and giving love. Clear them out. Okay, you're going to go up into your throat chakra. Go ahead and clear out all the blockages around your expression, communication, the balance of the feminine and masculine energies within us. Clear those limiting belief systems, fears. Breathing. Go up into the third eye now. Go ahead and visualize clearing all the limiting belief systems around your intuition, self-trust. The only time these meditations can become tiring or exhausting is when we are resisting something. So make sure that you are letting go. Letting go. Don't be afraid of seeing truth. Don't be afraid of letting go. Allow yourself to clear. This is Self-Love Sunday. We are here to learn to love ourselves truly. You're going to go up into your crown, 7th and 8th chakra. These are the most important centers of manifestation. Activate your color. What color do you see here? Fill it in with your creative color. Okay, you're going to see it expanding all around you, 360 degrees all around you. And you're going to allow yourself to set your intention in every part of your life, starting with career. Fill it in with this color. Abundance, love, family, relationships, intimacy, money, sexual energy, creative life force energy, healing, health, balance, harmony, and your purpose. What are you here to do? So as you see your 7th and 8th activating, setting your intention that you are in alignment in all of these areas every day. Okay, you're going to activate the 9th now. Expand the 9th dimensional layer. Expand the 10th. Expand the 11th. Expand the 12th. Expand the 13th. Expand the 14th. Expand the 15th. Expand the 16th. Expand the 17th. Expand the 18th. The 19th. The 20th. The 21st. The 22nd. The 23rd. The 24th. The 25th. So I want you to see 25th dimensional layers of your body. Above you is a powerful white light of source. Go ahead and bring that source down into your body. Anchor it into the body, into the center of the earth. Very good. And as you anchor it, you're going to create another pillar of white light down through the center of your belly, out through the front and out through the back of the body. Okay, go ahead and see that surrounding the perimeter of the earth. Excellent work. Go ahead and bring yourself back into the room, guys. You guys did amazing. I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. This was a very interesting exercise today, and I hope that it helped in some way. Thank you so much for your super chats, you guys. Mark, thank you so much. Clementine, Rosa, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it, guys. You're so generous and loving, and it does help me keep this free platform. Thank you. So I'm going to quickly see if I can go through a couple questions and answer them. And let me just come over here. You guys did amazing, amazing, guys. Beautiful work. Krista says, do you plan to teach any workshops on lucid dreaming? Yes. I actually have that as an entire section of the Academy courses that I'm building for us. But I also will be doing this for my hybrid mother experiencer group. So let's put that on a calendar and I will share it with you. We will have a series of retreats and events this year. And we are working diligently on creating that calendar for you. So please do stay in touch. We have a lot coming this year, a lot. It's a powerful year. All right, let's go to the next question here. I answered that one already. Hi, Geraldine. When we transition, whether it be through death or physical ascension, do our souls have individual personalities, or are our earthly personalities archetypes of our 3D conscious mind? That's correct, Clementine. Thank you so much for that super chat. Yes, essentially, you said it, you answered the question, actually in your question, because these are very much earth-like personalities that we hold on to. Personalities, and our personality can change throughout life. Remember, the personality is just, it's like your DNA. You can change it, you can edit it, depending on the programs that you're inputting into your subconscious mind, or from the subconscious mind, I should say. So when we pass on, when we leave the physical body, most people experience coming into nothingness, where it feels so freeing because they don't feel like they have to come into any one set of parameters of definition or identity. And this is such a freeing state of being. But they see their body as no form. Sometimes they transition. So it's always like this. You leave the body and you become white light. Okay. After white light, you go through a transition period where you begin to take on another form. As you come into another dimensional plane, usually you will manifest another physical body or non-physical, depending on the dimension you're going to. But one thing that I see out of doing hundreds of hypnotherapies is that there's always a moment of transition that we become white light. And this is very easily explained by the physics of the body, because we essentially, because we function like a vortex, we are literally moving through a 0-point vortex in our field as we detach from the physical body. And I think I've explained this, in other lectures, but let me see if I can find that picture. But essentially, when we lead from one dimension to another, we go through the spiral movements, which create 0-point intersections at every step of the way. Let me see if I can find that picture. Should be right here somewhere. Oh, yeah. So this is really what I mean here. And then yeah. So death is like going through. It's like going through this point right here. Okay. So when you leave the body, this is a picture of how your energy body is functioning. Okay, in the same way that your energy functions, it creates the pathway for your life force. Okay, so when you leave the physical, you go through the 0 point out through the crown of your head is where you leave the body, and you go into another dimensional density. Okay, and from there again, depending on your vibrational resonance at the time of leaving your body, that's why death is very important. If you die in a high vibrational state where you are, healthy and happy and joyful, then your vibrational frequency will directly pull you in the direction of similar frequency experiences. So again, you will go through the portal. Remember, when you're born, you go through the vortex portal of your mother's womb, from which you are born again. So we are constantly moving in and out of these vortex points because this is the way energy moves in this universe. It's very powerful. Yeah, so this is essentially, you will move out through the crown of your head. So let me make sure I answered that question. So the personality types that we have, when you enter that 0 point, it's zero, it's nothing, no identity, no ego, nothing. And again, you're taken into another one. Every new dimension that you enter will be another layer of archetypal, not necessarily archetypal, but infinite potential will organize itself based on those laws of that dimension, based on the geometry of that dimension, will bend light in certain ways that create these certain laws, just like the 3-dimensional plane. Okay. Is that moving like falling through a rabbit hole? Yeah, you can say that, but more like a vortex, right? Or like a tornado, that's it becomes this. Remember how energy moves really depends on whether you're contracting or expanding. It can be centrifugal, which is depleting, or it can be centripetal, which is collecting. You become a vortex of energy, a magnet of energy, essentially. Yeah, so that's an awesome. Thank you so much, Clementine, for that question. Thank you so much, Teresa, for being here and for that super chat. Thank you so much. Doug, thank you so much for that super chat. So wonderful to have you here. So kind of you. Really appreciate your support, guys, so much. Let me see. Am I missing any questions? Please put your questions in caps so that I can read them. Nicholas, so good to see you, Nicholas. Is it normal to cry after a session? Yes, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Why? People cry for many reasons. Happiness sometimes, because a lot of times after a session, people realize that, we actually are our greatest abusers in most of our life experiences. We are the ones that cause ourselves the illusion of separation. We reinforce it because we don't know better. And usually after you shift perception, it allows you to expand the way that you see yourself and what you're experiencing. And oftentimes people feel such a powerful release, and it can be very empowering that you recognize that you actually do have power. You're not powerless. We are deeply programmed to think that we are powerless in this dimensional realm, but we are not. We are super powerful. So tears of sorrow, parts of us need to die, parts of us that have felt comfortable, parts of us that were addicted sometimes. We can feel mourning for these parts of us. And we also feel joy for the rebirth of a new part. And this can also be a scary part because, you're having to be courageous in recreating a new self. It requires courage because you have to break patterns, so there's many side effects to sessions, but they are definitely transformative and they last a very long time because it's about sub-programming. When I work with you, we're not working with just surface layer, remedies. We're working really deep core programs because that is what creates life-changing shifts. Okay, that's what we're about here. Okay. Wow, you have just helped me clear a 3-month pain in my low back, hip, ovaries. During meditation, I went back inside my mom's womb. Yes, I love to hear that. You make my day, guys, when you do this kind of work. It makes me so happy. APOC 414, we have so much more potential as energy beings. Thank you for showing us, Geraldine. Yes. Elvana, can we heal our body during sleep? Absolutely, you can. And there are techniques for this. I would love to teach you about that. And I think I can teach you about that in this challenge that we're starting. So Elvana, I will take note of that and I will write that question, okay? Salt of the Earth says yes, yes. Very good. Let me think here. Is ascension dying? Absolutely not. In fact, we are constantly ascending because I showed you that vortex that we are. Well, actually, this entire universe is moving like a vortex, in and out of contraction and expansion, okay? In and out of higher vibrational frequency and lower vibrational frequency. All of those movements pull us forward. That's what ascension is. We are here to experience elevated states of consciousness, vibrational frequency as we naturally evolve. That's part of your design. You cannot avoid that. So if you think you're not ascending, it's not true. If you think you're going back or digressing somehow, you're not. We are always progressing and we are always evolving. Death is something that is a natural cycle of the laws of energy exchange in this universe. Energy never dissolves. It always transforms, okay? So that's what we want to do. It's the transformation, it's the alchemization of the lower into the higher functioning vibrational frequency and consciousness. That is what ascension is, the transmutation process. Now, there are two ways that happens, either through the laws of accident where you are pummeled with challenges, illnesses, and problems in order to make you change, if you get it. If you don't, you're going to get stuck in that cycle of suffering. Or you do it through your own free will, which is conscious, which is what we're here to do here, is that we consciously observe those challenges and transmute them with our own will. That's actually the conscious ascension process, okay? This amazing Geraldine, thanks for your wonderful energy, connection, wisdom. Thank you, Lewis Burke. Mafona, thank you so much. Love you for that super chat. Thank you so much. I mean, real death. No, there is no, we are infinite because energy, again, never dies. That's an incredibly beautiful thing to really, really grasp your brain around. Because you are energy, frequency, there you are infinite. Period. You are infinite. Okay, so all we do is we change forms as we move on. That's all. That's all that's happening. Your GPAC is powerful. Yes, thank you, Teresa. So glad that's helping. That's wonderful, Mark Hudson, Mafona, T-Flex TV. Thank you so much for being here and for that super chat. I greatly appreciate. Thank you so much for your love. I missed you in Grafton. I missed you guys so much. It was such a strange thing. And never in my life did I see zero flights from one city to another. Even as a flight attendant, never in my life have I seen no flights. So yeah, it was such a strange experience, but I trust and I surrender to the universe, and I know that everything is divine timing. And you will see my presentation in the replay. Absolutely. So I love you guys so deeply. Thank you so much for being here. Everybody that is in the Zoom, love you so much. Oh, any questions here on the Zoom? If one is going through a life review, is that an indication of shift? Or if one is going through a life review, this is the beginning. This is the beginning of a shift, Steve, essentially, okay? So when we actually, the life review is one of the most important elements of initiation, because this is where we essentially have to learn how to see ourselves. And it is the process of learning how to love yourself deeply. The courage to see yourself in all of your raw truth is one of the hardest things to do in this healing process, but it's also one of the most powerfully transformative things. So there is a shift that comes after that. The thing is, what do you do with the information that you observe? Not to do is judgment. Okay. The process is how to transmute judgment into unconditional love. That's actually how we transform and how we shift. So every time you come and see something new part of you, how can you transform from judgment into unconditional love? The way that you see, experience, react, the emotions that it causes in you, and the way that it makes you feel about yourself and others. That's where you start to grow and expand into an elevated state of being. Marie, it's so wonderful to see you here. After anesthesia, I saw light and was lucid and choosing dreams from that infinite field of possibilities. I think that I died. You had died. Wow. Maria, that's very interesting. A lot of people do have this experience. I want you to carry that with you into your dream state and try to recreate that experience now that you know what it feels like in your body. One of the powerful things about lucid dreaming is that once you experience it once, I want you to hold on to those, explore that one experience so that you can learn how to bring your body back into that state. Your nervous system readjusts, the muscles readjust, the entire body readjusts to that state. And you enter into a brainwave that is introducing your body to another dimensional layer. So you have to become familiar with that process, okay? So I highly suggest that now that you know that, try to recreate it in your own lucid dreaming, okay? I love you too. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you, everyone. The Zokshil, what does Zokshil say? Zokshil says they believe in suicide. Oh, why is this not taught in mainstream psychiatry? Is that a reflection of the current paradigm? Do you imagine a time when your work is integrated into mainstream psychology? I certainly, the thing is actually, everything that I share with you here, I received and channeled through an abstract way, but the only way that I found similar information to what I was channeling was actually through science, okay? Learning about the morphogenetic field, the science and the mechanism of the morphogenetic field, science and mechanism of DNA, science mechanisms of our bodies, observing them and connecting them actually give us wisdom into the processes and laws of the universe. This is why I invite you to connect with your body and to explore your body. And through these sciences, we understand that there are higher laws that we function by in this world, not the matrix and all of these illusions, because the problem with trying to connect with mainstream psychology is that most mainstream psychology has actually, in a sense, been weaponized for social engineering the masses, okay? And so a lot of the information that is being put out, just now, we have Gabor Mate, for example, which I adore, and I highly suggest watching his interview that he did with Bilio, I think his name is Adam Bilio, but phenomenal interview about childhood trauma. But these are the kinds of things that we are learning. And when we learn them, human becomes empowered because they no longer fall for the illusion of separation and helplessness, okay? So these are things that I invite you to, let's pull away from mainstream, because mainstream, okay? It is streaming you in a certain direction. And one of the things that we need to remember by coming into our core authenticity is that we are infinite, unconditional love. In other words, we are free. We are free expression. We are infinite potential. And that's very difficult to control because it can create anything. When we connect with that, this is where humanity comes into its true power. Okay, so that's where we want to try to come back to. And it can be scary for you as the person going there, and it's scary for society because this becomes the outcast that is no longer following the norms of what is acceptable. What is acceptable is what is controlled, what is able to be controlled. So we kind of want to shift away from that into a more organic, authentic human expression. The new human is very different. than what we have known. Okay, so we're kind of creating a new definition, and it's up to us whether this becomes the new norm. Okay, so those of you out there, there's so many of you. Look how many we have on our channel. I'm just so honored, so deeply, deeply humbled and honored to have you guys as seekers learning this information, but we're growing. Okay. So Isla, if I may ask a question after a meeting, that would be wonderful. Yeah, sure, no problem, Isla. Nicola, thank you and blessings to you, depth of my commitment and service. Love you guys. Have an amazing week, and I will see you next week. And I will create a sign-up page for the new channel challenge this month. So sign up for that. I hope you can join us, and much love.